Shrutadeva is making the prayer. You are the supreme controller and superintendent of the material nature's activities. The atheistic class of man simply observe the activities of the material nature, but cannot find you as the original background. A devotee, however, can immediately see your hand in every moment of material nature. The curtain of Yogamaya cannot cover the eyes of a devotee of your lordship, but it can cover the eyes of the non-devotees. The non-devotee is unable to see you face to face, just as a person whose eyes are blocked by the covering of a cloud cannot see the sun. Although persons flying above the cloud can see the sunshine brilliantly as it is. My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear self-effulgent Lord, I am your eternal servitor. Therefore, kindly order me, what can I do for you? The conditioned soul feels the pangs of material contamination as the threefold miseries as long as you are not visible to him. And as soon as you are visible by development of Krishna consciousness, all miseries of material existence are simultaneously vanquished. What a wonderful prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is naturally very much affectionately inclined to his devotees. When he heard Shrutadeva's prayer of pure devotion, he was very pleased and immediately caught his hand and addressed him as follows. My dear Shrutadev, all these great sages, brahmanas, and saintly persons have been very kind to you by personally coming here to see you. You should consider this opportunity to be a great fortune for you. They are so kind that they are traveling with me, and wherever they go, they immediately make the whole atmosphere as pure as transcendence, simply by the touch of the dust of their feet. People are accustomed to go to the temple of God. They also visit holy places of pilgrimage. And after prolonged association with such activities for many days, by touch and by worship, they gradually become purified. But the influence of the great sages and saintly person is so great that just by seeing them, one immediately becomes completely purified. Krishna continued. Moreover, the very purifying potency of pilgrimage or worship of different demigods is also achieved by the grace of saintly persons. A pilgrimage site becomes a holy place because of the presence of the saintly persons. My dear Shrutadev, when a person is born as a Brahmana, he immediately becomes the best of all human beings. And if such a Brahmana, remaining self-satisfied, practices austerities, studies the Vedas, and engage in my devotional service, as is the duty of a Brahmana. Or in other words, if a Brahmana becomes a Vaishnava, how wonderful is his greatness. My future of four-handed Narayan is not so pleasing or dear to me as is a Brahmana Vaishnava. Brahmana means one well conversant with Vedic knowledge. A Brahmana is the insignia of perfect knowledge, and I am the full-fledged manifestations of all gods. Less intelligent men do not understand me, nor do they understand the influence of the Brahmana Vaishnava. They are influenced by the three modes of material nature, and thus dare to criticize me and my pure devotees. A Brahmana Vaishnava or a devotee already on the Brahmanical platform can realize me within his heart. And therefore, he definitely concludes that the whole cosmic manifestation and its different future are effect of different energy of the Lord. Thus, he has a clear conception of the whole material nature and the total material energy, and in every action, such a devotee sees me only and nothing else. He continued, My dear Shrutadev, you may therefore accept all these great saintly persons, Brahmanas and sages as my bona fide representative. By worshipping them faithfully, you will be worshipping me more diligently. I consider worship of my devotees to be better than direct worship of me. If someone attempts to worship me directly without worshipping my devotees, I do not accept such worship, even though it may be presented with great opulence. And that's the reason I think when we perform the deity worship, we first offer everything to the Guru Parampara. And through the Guru Parampara, they can offer and Krishna can accept it. So this is very nice. In this way, both the Brahmana Shrutadev and the king of Mithila, under the direction of the Lord, who worship both Krishna and his followers, the great sages and saintly Brahmanas, on an equal level of spiritual importance. Both the Brahmana and the king ultimately achieve the supreme goal of being transferred to the spiritual world. The devotee does not know anyone except Lord Krishna, and Krishna is more affectionate to his devotees. Lord Krishna remained in Mithila both at the house of the Brahmana Shrutadev and at the palace of King Bulaswa. And after favoring them lavishly by his transcendental instructions, he went back to his capital city, Dwarka. The instruction we receive from this incident is that King Bulaswa and Sutadeva, the Brahmana, were accepted by the Lord on the same level because both were pure devotees. This is the real qualification for being recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because it has become the fashion of this age to be falsely proud of having taken birth in a family of Kshatriya or a Brahmana, we see persons without any qualification other than birth claiming to be a Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya. But as stated in the scriptures, Kalo Shudra Shambhavaha. In this age of Kali, everyone is born as Sudra. This is because there is no performance of the purificatory processes known as samskaras, which begin from the time of mother's pregnancy and continue up to the point of the individual's death. No one can be classified as a member of a particular caste, especially of a higher caste, Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, simply by birthright. So this is big point Prabhupada make, because in India when Prabhupada initiated those, and all these, his godbrothers and all other Vaishnavas were very much against Prabhupada, that how can you initiate those people? But they have not understood the essence of the instructions, not by the birth, but by our activities. So if one is not purified by the process of the seed-giving ceremony or Garbhadan samskara, he is immediately classified amongst the Sudras, because only the Sudras do not undergo this purificatory process. Sex life without the purificatory process of Krishna consciousness is merely the seed-giving process of the Sudras or animals. Prabhupada sometimes use very harsh words. Krishna consciousness is therefore the base process of purification. By this process, everyone can come to the platform of a Vaishnava, which include having all the qualification of a Brahmana. The Vaishnavas are trained to become freed from the four kinds of sinful activities: illicit sex, indulgence in intoxicants, gambling, and eating animal foods. One cannot be on the Brahminical platform without having this preliminary qualification, and without becoming qualified Brahmana, one cannot become a pure devotee. I think that something was from the citizen. I might have missed something. Let me just see that. Maybe wonderful instruction we may have missed. Let me just make sure. I think we have missed some prayers. Yeah, let's read from there. I think this is where we were. When the citizens received the news of the Lord's arrival, I will read up to when we started so it will be complete. When the citizens received the news of the Lord's arrival, they all felt unlimited happiness and came to welcome him, taking gifts in their hands to offer. And as soon as they saw Lord Krishna, their hearts immediately blossomed in transcendental bliss, just like lotus flowers upon the rising of a sun. Previously, they had simply heard the name of the great sages, but had never seen them. Now, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, they had the opportunity of seeing both the great sages and the Lord Himself. King Bulaswa and the Brahmana Shrutadev, knowing well that the Lord had come there just to grace them with favor, immediately fell at the Lord's lotus feet and offered their respect. With folded hand, the king and the Brahmana each simultaneously invited Lord Krishna and all the sages to his home. In order to please both of them, Lord Krishna expanded himself into two and went to the house of each one of them. Yet, neither the king nor the Brahmana could understand that the Lord had gone to the house of the other. Both thought that the Lord had gone only to his own house, that he and his companions were present in both houses. Although both the Brahmana and the king thought he was present in one house only, is another opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This opulence is described in the revealed scripture as the Vaibhava Prakash. When Lord Krishna married 16,000 wives, he expanded himself into 16,000 forms, each one of them as powerful as he himself. Similarly, in Vrindavan, when Brahma stole Krishna's cows and cowherd boys, Krishna expanded himself into many new calves and boys. Bahulasva, the king of the Videha, was very intelligent and was a perfect gentleman. He was astonished that so many great sages, along with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were personally present in his home. He knew perfectly well that conditioned souls engaged in worldly affairs cannot be 100% pure, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees are always transcendental to worldly contamination. Therefore, when he found that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and all the great sages were at his home, he was astonished and he began to thank Lord Krishna for his causeless mercy. Feeling very much obliged and wanting to receive his guests to the best of his ability, He called for nice chairs and cushions, and Lord Krishna, along with all the sages, sat down very comfortably. At that time, King Bahulasva mind was very restless, not because of any problems, but because of great ecstasy of love and devotion. His heart was filled with love and affection for the Lord and his associates, and his eyes were filled with tears of ecstasy. He washed the feet of his divine guest, and afterward he and his family members sprinkled the water on their own heads. After this, he offered the guests the nice flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, incense, new garments, ornaments, lamps, cows, and bulls. In a manner just befitting his royal position, he worshipped each one of them in this way. When all had been fed sumptuously and were sitting very comfortably, Bahulasva came before Lord Krishna and caught his lotus feet. He placed them on his lap and while massaging the feet with his hand, began to speak about the glories of the Lord in a sweet voice. I have that experience like that when I massage the Maharajas. I have done that I will put their feet on my lap and I massage them nicely. So they pray, my dear Lord, you are the super soul of all living entities, and as the witness within the heart, you are cognizant of everyone's activities. We can never be able to fool Krishna. Haribo. Thus, we are duly bound to always think of your lotus feet so that we can remain in a secure position and not deviated from your eternal service. What a grand sentence. As a result of our continuous remembrance of your lotus feet, you have kindly visited my place personally to favor me with your causeless mercy. So this is required continuous remembrance. Never, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. We have heard, my dear Lord, that by your various statements you confirm your pure devotees to be more dear to you than Lord Balaram or your constant servitor, the goddess of fortune. Your devotees are dearer to you than your first son, Lord Brahma. And I'm sure that you have so kindly visited my place in order to prove your divine statement. Haribol. I cannot imagine how people can be godless and demoniac even after knowing of your causeless mercy and affection for your devotees who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. How can people who know these things forget your lotus feet? This is really relevant to all of us. So, my dear Lord, it is known to us that you are so kind and liberal that when a person leaves everything just to engage in Krishna consciousness, you sometimes give yourself in exchange for that unalloyed service. You have appeared in the Yadu dynasty to fulfill your mission of reclaiming all conditioned souls rotting in the sinful activities of this material existence. And this appearance is already famous all over the world. My dear Lord, you are the ocean of unlimited mercy, love, and affection. Your transcendental form is full of bliss, knowledge, and eternity. You can attract everyone's heart by your beautiful form as Shyam Sundar Krishna. Your knowledge is unlimited, and to teach all people how to execute devotional service, you have sent your incarnation, Narnarayan, who is engaged in severe austerities and penances at the Badrika Narayan. Kindly, therefore, accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. My dear Lord, I beg to request you and your companions, the great sages and the Brahmanas, to remain at my place at least for a few days, so that this family of the famous King Nimi may be sanctified by the dust of your lotus feet. Lord Krishna could not refuse the request of his devotees. Wonderful. And thus he remained there for a few days with the sages to sanctify the city of Mithila and all its citizens. Meanwhile, the Brahmana Sutadev, simultaneously receiving Lord Krishna and his associate at his home, was transcendently overwhelmed with joy. After offering his guests nice sitting places, the Brahmana began to dance, waving around his wrap. Shrutadev, being not at all rich, offered only mattresses, wooden planks, straw carpets, and so on to his distinguished guests. Lord Krishna and the sages, but he welcomed them to the best of his ability. He spoke very highly of the Lord and the sages, and he and his wife washed the feet of each one of them. After this, he took the water and sprinkled it over all the members of his family. And although the Brahmana appeared very poor, he was at that time most fortunate. So Krishna doesn't care who you are, poor or rich. He's looking for our love and devotion. While Sutadev was welcoming Lord Krishna and his associate, he simply forgot himself in transcendental joy. After welcoming the Lord and his companion, according to his ability, he bought fruits, incense, scented water, scented clay, tulsi leaves, kusha straw, and lotus flowers. They were not costly items and could be secured very easily. But because they were offered with devotion, Lord Krishna and his associate accepted them gladly. The Brahmana's wife cooked simple food like rice and dal, and Lord Krishna and his followers were very pleased to accept them because they were offered in devotional love. So we should know when we cook the bhoga, it's not that what kind of variety or what you cook, but how much with the devotion that we are cooking the food for the Lord. When Lord Krishna and his associate were fed in this way, the Brahmana Sutadev was thinking thus, I have fallen into the deep dark well of householder life, and I am the most unfortunate person. How has it become possible that Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his associate, the great sages, whose very presence make a place as sanctified as a pilgrimage site, have agreed to come to my place? While the Brahmana was thinking in this way, the guests finished their lunch and sat back very comfortably. And at that time, the Brahmana Shrutadev and his wife, children, and other relatives appeared there to render service to the distinguished guest. While touching the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, the Brahmana began to speak. I think we have not read complete, so we will read until when we started. So Sutadevi is speaking. My dear Lord, he said, you are the Supreme Person, Purushottam, transcendently situated beyond the manifested and unmanifested material creation. The activities of this material world and of the conditioned soul have nothing to do with your position. We can appreciate that not only today have you given me your audience, but you are associating with all the living entities as Paramatma since the beginning of the creation. What a nice statement. This statement by the Brahmana is very instructive. It is a fact that the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, in his Paramatma future, entered the creation of this material world as Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksai Vishnu, and Sirodaksai Vishnu. And in a very friendly attitude, the Lord sits along with the conditioned soul in the body. Therefore, every living entity has the Lord with him from the very beginning. But due to his mistaken consciousness of life, the living entity cannot understand this. When his consciousness, however, is changed into Krishna consciousness, he can immediately understand how Krishna is trying to assist the conditioned souls to get out of the material entanglement. Shruti continued, "My dear Lord, you have entered this material world as if sleeping. A conditioned soul, while sleeping, creates false or temporary world in his mind. He becomes busy in many illusory activities, sometime becoming a king, sometime being murdered, or sometime going an unknown city. And all these are simply temporary efforts. Similarly, your lordship, apparently also in a sleeping condition, entered this material world to create a temporary manifestation, not for your personal necessities, but for the conditioned soul who wants to imitate your lordship as enjoyer. He has to create to fulfill our desire. The conditioned soul's enjoyment in the material world is temporary and illusory. Maybe those words stick into our mind and heart. And yet, the conditioned soul is by himself unable to create such a temporary situation for his illusory enjoyment. To fulfill his desire, although they are temporary and illusory, you enter these temporary manifestations to help him. Thus, from the beginning of the conditioned souls entering into the material world, you are his constant companion for many, many lives. When, therefore, the conditioned souls comes in contact with a pure devotee and takes to devotional service, beginning with the process of hearing your transcendental pastime, glorifying your transcendental activities, worshipping your eternal form in the temple, offering prayer to you, and engaging in discussion to understand your transcendental position, he gradually becomes freed from the contamination of material existence. And as his heart becomes clean of all material dust, you gradually become visible there. Although you are constantly with the conditioned soul, only when he becomes purified by devotional service, particularly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, do you become revealed to him. Others who are bewildered by fruitive activities, either by Vedic injunctions or by customary dealings, and who do not take to devotional service, are captivated by the external happiness of the bodily concepts of life. You are not revealed to such persons. Rather, you remain far, far away from them. But for one who engages in your devotional service and purifies his heart by constant chanting of your holy name, you are very easily understood as his eternal, constant companion. It is said that your lordship sitting in the heart of a devotee gives him direction by which he can very quickly come back home, back to you. This direct dictation by you reveal your existence within the heart of a devotee. Tesam sapata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurva. Krishna within the heart guides the devotees. When we become pure, all these things will be revealed to us. The direct dictation by you reveal your existence within the heart of a devotee. Only a devotee can immediately appreciate your existence within his heart. Whereas for a person who has only a bodily concepts of life and is engaged in the sense gratification, you always remain covered by the curtain of the Yoga Maya. Such a person cannot realize that you are very near, sitting within his heart. For a non-devotee, you are appreciated only as ultimate death. The difference is that like the difference between a cat carrying its kitten in its mouth and carrying a rat in its mouth. In the mouth of the cat, the rat feels its death, whereas the kitten in the mouth of the cat feels motherly affection. Similarly, you are present to everyone, but the non-devotee feels you as ultimate cruel death, whereas for the devotee, you are the supreme instructor and philosopher. The atheist, therefore, understand the presence of God as death, but the devotee understand the presence of God always within his heart, takes dictation from you, and lives transcendentally, unaffected by the contamination of the material world. I think that's where we we start reading, and that Sutadeva has made a wonderful prayer. May those words may reside in our heart so we can see that Krishna is always awaiting for us to turn toward him once and for all. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 86th chapter of Krishna, the kidnapping of Subhadra, and Lord Krishna's visiting Shrutadev Brahmana and Bahulasva, the king of Mithila. Haribol. What time is it? It is 7:52. I think we should stop here. So it would be easy. Now the chapter 87 we will be embarking from tomorrow is prayer by the personified Vedas. So everything is personality. So we will be hearing a wonderful King Parikshit inquire from Sukadev Goswami, and we will hear the explanation by Sukadev Goswami. So it's very nice to observe in the morning. The chals are up now, and it gives us the indication to end our session. But I asked them that do I have the time until 8 o'clock, 7:55, and they said yes. So it's nice. So thank you very much again, and if Krishna so desire, we will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the morning. If not, then you can join at your convenient time. But hopefully that we can remember that Krishna is witnessing every actions, every thoughts that goes through our mind and heart. We can never be able to keep secret from him. Maybe we cannot reveal to anybody, but at least to Krishna we should reveal everything about inabilities and our insignificance. Then and then we will be able to get his mercy. So with those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who take so much austerity despite so many challenging things in our life. They decided to join in the morning, so I'm really grateful for your kind association, and hopefully we can stick together for a long so we can finish our business in this material world to go back home, back to Godhead. So thank you very much. We should end our session here, and yeah, looking forward to see you tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarupasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananda Koti Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna
thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Hare
Hari Bol,
Krishna
Hari Bol. Thank you very much.
Prabhu.
Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Dhanyavad Pranam.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.